session and hope this session will be fruitful. We begin with today's session with oath of affirmation of the newly elected members. Secretary General, please.
Mr. Alvin John, who stands selected from the Pali constituency of Rajasthan, will now take the oath or affirmation. Mr. Alvin John, sir, do you want to take oath or affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take oath?
In English, please.
Okay, sir, kindly proceed.
I, Albin John, having been elected or nominated a member of Youth Parliament, House of People, do swear in the name of God, solemnly affirm that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by the law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter. Jai Hind.
Ms. Erin Saji, who stands selected from the Howrah constituency of West Bengal, will now take the oath or affirmation. Ms. Erin Saji, ma'am, do you want to take oath or affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take oath?
In Hindi, please.
Okay, ma'am, kindly proceed.
मैं एरिन सजी युवा संसद की सदस्य निर्वाचित हुई हूँ। ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रहूंगी। मैं देश की प्रभुता और एकता बनाए रखूंगी तथा जिस पद को ग्रहण करने वाली हूँ उसके कर्तव्य का श्रद्धा पूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगी। जय हिंद।
Honorable Prime Minister to introduce the new members.
Honorable Speaker, I have pleasure in introducing to you and through you to the House the elected new members. Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Srimati Gifty Mol Lalachan. Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Shri Tejas Shibu Verghese. Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Srimati Smita Thomas. Minister of Education, Shri Laldin Sangha. Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, Srimati Raksha Dechama KM. Minister of Jal Shakti, Shri Alan Thomas John. Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Srimati Cheryl Susan Jacob. Minister of MSMEs, Shri Joel Paul. Minister of Commerce and Industry, Srimati Linu Maria Antony. Minister of Labour and Employment, Shri Jason Joseph. Minister of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries, Srimati Megha Skaria. Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Mohammad Noshir Ahmed. Minister of Law and Justice, Shri Dominic Matthew.
Now the question hour starts. Question number 101. Srimati Swati Vikraman, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, presenting question number 101. Will the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs be pleased to state? As per the Indian Economist of Suresh Tendulkar report, India has been reported 102 out of 107 in the Global Hunger Index. And in 2020, we can see that India has been ranked 94th out of 170. This is a drastic fall, and we are failing in securing people from poverty. So I would like to ask the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs that the dream of poverty-free India will be a dream forever, or will it become a reality?
Honorable Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, at the time of the release of GHI 2019 report, the country had a food stock of more than 68 million tons in the central pool stored at different warehouses of Food Corporation of India. Till September 2020, the food stock went up to 70 million tons, which is enough to ensure that no one went hungry. But as you have mentioned, India ranked 94 among 107 countries in the Global Hunger Index 2020 and is in the serious hunger category with a score of 27.2, which was 102 out of 117 last year. The GSI scores are calculated each year to assess progress and setbacks in combating hunger. It is calculated on the basis of 4 indicators: undernourishment, child stunning, and child mortality. A multi-pronged approach is needed to deal with the crisis. First, more crops have to be grown, especially by small and marginal farmers with support from the union government. A renewed focus on small and marginal holdings is imperative. Second, the government may create provisions to supply cooked, nutritious food to the vulnerable section of the society. A model of cheap canteen which provides cooked food to vulnerable sections of the society for just 15 to 20 in many parts of West Bengal. Jadavpur Jyoti Devi Shamajivi canteen, for example, has been running for more than 200 days. This model can be replicated by governments or other agencies. This has to be done in addition to the existing provisions of healthy diets from Anganwadi and schools through midday meals for children, mothers, and students. Third, rural employment schemes such as MNREGA should be given a boost to increase employment and wages. Fourth, access to food grains under the PDS needs to be streamlined by simplifying technical processes and reducing Aadhaar-related glitches. This is the right time to utilize PDS. COVID-19 has exposed the weaknesses of the targeted nature of the scheme. The union government must also ensure that the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme, if brought into effect, is operationalized through proper preparation, such as proper grain allotments to shops, identification procedures, and proper issuance of ration cards to individuals seeking food grain.
Next question, Srimati Rima Raji, please. Question number 102.
Will Honorable Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food, Public Distribution be pleased to state? On September 3rd, 2019, the Supreme Court of India agreed to examine petition that asked the court to ensure that no petition in India went to sleep on an empty stomach. The plea against hunger by group of activists suggested many steps, including community kitchen and a national food grid to feed the poor. But why? Why is such an intervention required for a country like India? Over the last 20 years, total food grain production in the country has increased and the rate of malnutrition in India remains very high. Why 50% of population in India go to bed hungry every day? Why Jharkhand face hunger death? Why approximately 4,500 children under the age of 5 die every day due to hunger and malnutrition, even though government has been working towards eradicating it? The government programs to deal with the problem are great, but the realities are shocking. How does the government plan to achieve zero hunger goal by 2030 in India?
Honorable Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, please.
Honorable Speaker, India is a country where the population is increasing day by day in a massive way. As the population increases, the hunger rate also increases. One of the major reasons for increase in hunger rate is wastage of food. And as per sources, almost 40% of India is being wasted. It is not only the government responsible for this, but also every single Indian who is wasting food on a day-to-day basis. If food wastage is controlled, we can reach our goals faster. Schemes like the Integrated Child Development Scheme, the Midday Meal Scheme, continued subsidies reliance on rice and wheat. In 2019 and 20, allocation to the Department of Food and Publication Distribution has increased by 14,366 crores, which is almost 8.1% over the previous year's estimated expenditure. Further, the allocation in 2019 and 20, 86,376 crores, that is almost 82% higher than the actual expenditure made by the department in 2017 and 18. We have brought in the National Food Security Act, which guarantees 5 kgs of food grains per person per month to entitled beneficiaries at subsidized prices. Distribution of food grains to below poverty line families and covering poor households at the risk of hunger. As per the National Food Security Act 2013, we provide coverage to almost 2/3 of the population for receiving food grains at rupees 1, 2, and 3 per kg for cereals, wheat, rice, respectively. Priority households are entitled to receive 5 kg per person per month and the other poor households continue to receive 35 kgs of food grains per month. Some of the other major initiatives include the amendment to Essential Commodities Act, Atmanirbhar Bharat package, a provision made for supply of 2 kgs of rice for poor households from government buffer stocks per migrant worker family who are not covered under the National Food Security Act.
Next question, Srimati Richu Roy, please. Question number 103.
Will Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare be pleased to state? Before COVID-19, there was a need of acceleration in different areas such as child health, maternal health, HIV, tuberculosis, etc. Thus, SDG 3 says ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. But still, India's tuberculosis notification rate is high. And apart from excess mortality due to pandemic, it also increased deaths from other causes because of less available funding and weakened healthcare system. Is the government giving equal importance in terms of allocating the funds and development of healthcare infrastructure?
Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the TB notification in India in February this year increased compared with January, but then reduced sharply in April to reach less than 40% of January figure, but before increasing to reach about 70% of January figure in month of June. In terms of weekly TB notification in India, the number reached over 50,000 prior before the national lockdown, before dipping to nearly 15,000 notification per week. In about 3 weeks after lockdown went into effect, it increased the reach about 35,000 cases before slightly reduced in following weeks. Our ministry has added a new agenda for public health in India, which includes epidemiological transition, demographic transition, and environmental changes. Silent epidemics. In India, the tobacco attributable death ranged from 8 lakh to 9 lakh per year, leading to huge social and economic losses. Mental, neurological substance use disorder also cause a large burden of disease and disabilities. The Ministry of Health and Welfare plays a very important role in guiding the public health system in the following ways: by strengthening the health system, human resources development and regulation in public health that are very important area within the health sector. The cause of health inequality lies in social, economical and political mechanism that leads the social stratification according to income, education, occupation, gender, rare and ethnicity. Lack of adequate progress on these underlying social determinants of health has been acknowledged as a failure of public health.
Next question, Shri Moses Johnson, please. Question number 104.
The Honorable Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment be pleased to state, considering the recent Supreme Court judgment stating that devotion cannot be subjected to gender discrimination, are Indian culture practices being used as an excuse for discrimination in India? Are Indian laws and governance still at far in achieving the state of modernity? And even after decades of independence and visible governance inequality prevailed in India, is it time we consider Article 14 and 243D as the first step and move on further towards women empowerment?
Honorable Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, for any developing country to maintain its position as a global growth leader, more concerted efforts at local and national levels and by the private sectors are needed to bring women in parity with men. While increasing representation of women in public spheres is important and can be potentially achieved through some form of affirmative action, an attitudinal shift is required for women to be considered equal in both within their homes and in broader society. Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, which states that there should be equality among every citizen of the country, also imparts the right to vote to women. India has also witnessed representation of women in many social fronts, for instance, in political scenarios, where after enactment of Article 243D, 1/3 offices of Panchayat Raj are reserved for women. Implementing new legal frameworks regarding female equality in the workplace and the eradication of harmful practices targeted at women is crucial in ending the gender-based discrimination prevalent in many countries around the world. educating children about the importance of gender equality could be a meaningful start in the direction towards achieving gender equality.
Now question hour is over. No more supplementary, please. Now papers to be laid. Honorable Minister of Education, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I beg to lay on the table the copy of the main aim of Sustainable Goal 4 to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. Since educating the youth is an important part of development, this goal will try to fulfill this or help in upbringing the quality of education among the youth equally to everyone. The government has proposed plans to ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education of sustainable development and lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of culture of peace and diversity, and of culture's contribution to sustainable development. Our ministry has built and has upgraded educational facilities for special children which provide safe, inclusive, and effective learning environment, also substantially increasing the supply of qualified teachers, including through cooperation of teachers training in rural places.
Srimati Nikshita Rajendran, please.
Will Honorable Ministry of Education be pleased to state? India faces challenges in providing quality education to its children and the youth. To what extent will the new Education Policy 2020 fulfill India's SDG 4 goal? How are you planning to implement it in ground reality?
Yes, with the new Education Policy 2020 aiming at universalization of education from preschool to secondary level and to benefit children so that no child loses any opportunity to learn and excel because of circumstances of birth or background. It will fulfill one of SDG 4 major goals at providing education from preschool to secondary level or college level, irrespective of caste, creed, or sex. On the implementation, as with the pandemic disrupting the school life, and reopening of schools are slowly taking actions, providing adequate resources, free and equal education, and lot of people do not finish their education because they cannot afford higher education level. So with the new education policy and one of SDG 4 goals, we will able to provide the children with proper education depending on their learning abilities. They are offered special classes in the government schools. These schemes has been reformed and has been inspired by Nobel Prize winner Abhijit Banerjee's model and providing schools in rural area with better equipment as there are many schools without proper stationaries and educational equipment need for proper and quality education. And most of the schools are not properly equipped for children with disabilities, so proper equipment to handle this problem shall be provided. Proper training will be provided to all the school teachers to improve quality of education.
Now let us take up the calling attention motion. Srimati Preeti, please call attention of the minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to call the attention of the Minister of Jal Shakti. The level of contaminants in drinking as well as groundwater are several. According to India's PFAS Situation Report 2019, it is revealed that the level of PFAS class of chemicals is ranging from 0.1 to 33 parts per thousand, far higher than the limit of 20 parts per thousand. How are you going to regulate the use of these class of chemicals in India, but also control and reduce them? What are the measures taken by the government to improve the sanitation and the hygiene facilities for all in India?
Minister of Jal Shakti, please.
Madam Speaker, our ministry has put into place a comprehensive multi-pronged strategy that has been implemented to monitor and remedy water quality by the Central Water Commission, which assesses water quality at 552 key locations and covers all major river basins of the country. The Central Groundwater monitors the chemical quality of groundwater through a network of about 15,000 observation wells located all across the country. Several programs are implemented under the National River Conservation Plan to clean the rivers, a leading one being the Namami Gange, to fight pollution, abatement, and conservation and rejuvenation of the river Ganga. Our ministry is also working closely with the government and has put in a place a 10-year-old sanitation strategy which focuses on sustaining the sanitation and increasing access to solid and liquid waste management. This strategy lays down a framework to guide local government policymakers, implementers, and other relevant stakeholders in their planning. This planning successfully achieved the target of making India open free by constructing over 109 million household and community toilet since October 2, 2014 in 6,03,175 villages in 706 districts across the country. Improvement in water sanitation and management system remains a priority area at national, subnational, and local levels. The Clean India campaign succeeded in effecting a behavioral transformation by creating a nudge which resulted in widespread awareness to shift towards a better sanitation and hygiene facilities. And with all these projects on the work, we believe that we will be able to tackle problems relating to lack of access to water and sanitation and achieve SDG 6 by 2030.
Srimati Nikshita Rajendran, please.
Madam Speaker, may I draw the attention of Minister of New and Renewable Energy? Will Honorable Minister be pleased to state? According to a World Energy Council prediction, global electricity demand will peak in 2030. India is one of the largest coal consumers in the world and imports costly fossil fuels. Close to 74% of the energy demand is supplied by coal and oil. According to a report from the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, the country imported 171 million tons of coal in 2013 to 14, 215 million tons in 2014 to 15, 207 million tons in 2015 to 16, 195 million tons in 2016 to 17, and 213 million tons in 2017 to 18. Therefore, there is an urgent need to find alternative source for generating electricity. So how are you planning to look into this matter?
I request the Minister of New and Renewable Energy to give the reply.
Madam Speaker, as of 27 November 2020, 38% of India's installed electricity generation capacity is from renewable resources. In the Paris Agreement, India has committed to an intended nationally determined contribution target of achieving 40% of its total electricity generation from non-fossil fuels by 2030. We plan to increase it from 40 to 57% of total electricity capacity from renewable resources by 2027. To achieve this target, we plan to have 275 gigawatts from renewable energy, 72 gigawatts from hydroelectricity, 15 gigawatts from nuclear energy, and nearly 100 gigawatts from other zero emission sources. We have also started the rooftop solar projects of 40 gigawatts, including installation on rooftop of houses. As of September 2020, 89.2 gigawatts is already operational, and projects of 48.2 gigawatts are at various stages of implementation, and projects of 25.64 gigawatt capacities are under various stages of building. We also have strong manufacturing base in wind power with 20 manufacturers of 53 different wind turbine models of international quality up to 3 megawatts in size with exports to Europe, United Nations, and other countries. Wind or solar PV paired with 4-hour battery storage system is already cost competitive without subsidy as compared to the new coal and gas plants in India. With all these projects on the work, we believe that we'll be able to generate electricity from renewable resources and achieve SDG 7 by 2030.
The Leader of Opposition, Srimati Steny Ann Johnson, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, words are nothing but lies if they are not turned into action. In June 2020, the ministry launched the opening of coal mining to the private sector. So when you say all such projects for renewable resources are going on, what about this launch of coal mining project? And upon that, it falls in dense forest and falls in tribal inhabited areas. So will it not increase the carbon dioxide and in turn drive climate change? Isn't it contradicting what your party said earlier?
I request the Minister of New and Renewable Energy to give the reply.
Honorable Speaker, the new private sector mining would only impact minor prices and that too only by a small amount. Coal India Limited prices are regulated, averaged out across almost all mines by grade of coal, regardless of the cost of mining and kept low for power plants.
Costs of mining vary by a factor of 5 or 6 depending on the location, but the newest growth is from inexpensive mines where the coal is near the surface and the mine sizes are large. These mines already operate efficiently, often through private sector contractors termed mine developers and operators. This suggests that the expected efficiency gain by private sector competitive mining would be a tiny fraction of the total delivered cost of coal, which include transportation and taxes. Marginally cheaper coal won't spur more coal-based electricity, especially since power prices are expected to rise as plants must retrofit to meet stringent emission norms. The key factor is the cost of electricity, and renewable energy is winning the battle right now. However, industry has few alternatives to coal in the short term, more so given limited availability of cheap natural gas.
Srimati Anjana Abraham, please.
Madam Speaker, may I draw the attention of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry? Will the Honorable Minister be pleased to state? The Make in India scheme did not bring much growth to the manufacturing sector. It mainly introduced brownfield investment and less of greenfield investment. Hence, the quality of the trade and transport infrastructure has been declined. This industry is supposed to be a major contributor to the economic prosperity of the country. India's industrial growth rate has decreased by 0.8% from 2016 to 2019 and also produced lots of hazardous waste as well as water waste, which contradicts the idea of sustainability. With this stunted growth and all these challenges, how does the government expect to achieve industry innovations and infrastructure in India?
Yes, Minister of Commerce and Industry, please.
Honorable Madam Speaker, India is one such country which has the potential for manufacturing but yet to realize the power to achieve it. From the fiscal year 2006 to 2012, India's manufacturing sector GDP grew by an average of 9.5% per year. Over the next 6 years, growth declined to 7.4%. In the fiscal year 2020, manufacturing sector generated 17.4% of India's GDP, which was a little more than that was contributed in the year 2000, that was 15.3%. We are identifying value manufacturing chains like automobile industry, pharmaceuticals, agriculture and food sector, apparel and textiles, aerospace and defense, and renewable energy sectors, which has a strong potential that can operate in international markets, power growth, and provide long-term employment and skill pathways for millions. First, these chains will be positioned to capitalize on attaining raw materials, manufacturing skills, and entrepreneurship. After which, they are proceeded into 4 market opportunities, which are export growth, import localization, create domestic demand, and contract manufacturing. With these reforms and actions by manufacturing companies, we estimate that the value chains can double the contribution to the GDP to an estimate of 500 billion US dollars in 7 years, while the power extensive job creation at the time when the COVID-19 crisis has pushed millions into poverty. The first step to industrial waste management will be to identify which items can be recycled, and dumpsters can be set to collect the waste that can be recycled and the waste that cannot be recycled. Most of the recycling places handle waste like glass, paper, and plastic. Segregation of hazardous, compostable, and non-hazardous waste can be managed. Hazardous waste can be dumped into landfills that can be confined in a particular spot rather than dumping them into various habitats. And as the waste is decomposed, the gas released can be converted into natural gas and can be used for power and fuel. Hence, composting is one of the most effective ways to recycle and reuse non-hazardous waste, thus reducing their harm to the environment. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry plans to attain a sustainable development in the field of industry and innovation by the above manner.
Sri Pratik Dikshit, please.
Madam Speaker, may I draw the attention of Minister of Labour and Employment? Will the Honourable Minister we're pleased to state, in the context of the economic growth and per capita income, the committee is concerned to know the ever widening gap between the rich and the poor and the increasing unreasonable distribution of assets of our country. It is being observed that the purchasing power is getting concentrated in the hands of very few, whereas the majority is stuck below the expenditure curve. A financial institute has estimated wealth share of India's top 1%, I repeat, just 1%, to be 53%. Whether steps are being taken to counter such disparities, and if so, what are the steps taken by the government to counter such disparities and increasing unemployment?
Minister of Labor and Employment, please.
Yes, the GDP per capita for unemployment rate in India for 2019 was 5.36%, a 0.3% increase from 2018. India's unemployment rate for 2018 was 5.33%, a 0.9 decline from 2017. The government has implemented various measures to counter disparities and the increasing unemployment rates, such as introducing minimum wages and universal basic income. By introducing minimum wages and universal basic income, the workers' laws can be reformed. This will also help to decrease the gap. UBI and minimum wages for the less fortunate have a similar motive, which is to provide a regular income which can help in sustaining the individual and his or her family. In India, wealth inequalities are generally due to concentration of agricultural land in the hands of few landlords. The zamindari system worsened the situation further. After independence, the government enacted various laws to abolish zamindari system and reduce the inequalities by redistribution of agricultural land. However, the results have not been in accordance with the expectations. Social security measures. The government has introduced various social security measures like Workmen Compensation Act, Maternity Benefit Act, Employees Provident Fund Act, Employees State Insurance Act, and various others to uplift the people by providing for their health-related benefits. There are many other measures undertaken by the government, such as poverty alleviation programs. We have redesigned the pricing policies to provide the basic amenities at lower prices for the weaker sections of the society, encouraging the small scale industry and also expansion of the public sector. It can definitely not be denied that wealth inequality is a deterrent to the actual economic growth, and it has grown in the past years. But on the other hand, it is very important to understand that with more and more government policies which bring transparency and confidence, wealth inequality can be reduced for sure, if not completely eliminated.
Now, let us start the discussion on urgent matters of the affair. Shri Moses Johnson, please raise your discussion on decent work and economic growth in India.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the poverty line in India may not permit a comfortable existence, but allows above subsistence existence. Is it time to rethink on Tendulkar's poverty line, which uses conventional approach to measuring poverty, specifying a minimum expenditure required to purchase a basket of goods and services necessary to satisfy basic human needs? The overdependence on the unorganized sector has to change, as it is becoming the reason behind India's unemployment and underemployment issues. This indirectly is a reason to reduce economic growth. What is the government's take on it?
Minister of MSMEs, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, manufacturing generates the strongest forward and backward linkage across other sectors of economy, which are important transmission links to the growth and job creation. It has been felt necessary to put up and promote a unified, empowered, robust, bundled and technology-driven platform for helping and promoting micro, small and medium enterprises of the country. As the name it suggests, it will aim at creation and harmonious application of the modern processes of increasing the output and national strength. Ministry of MSME is working closely to create better and sustainable job opportunities in India. Recent budget has introduced or various benefits for MSMEs. One of the budget is the Union Budget 2021 has earmarked all-time high allocation of 7,572.2 crore rupees for the Ministry of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Prime Minister Employment Generation Program has got an all-time high allocation of 2,500 crore for generating self-employment opportunities and establishment of micro enterprises in non-farm sector by helping traditional artisans and rural urban unemployed youth. Third, working capital credit. To ensure the working capital financing for small businesses, a scheme to provide subordinate debt for entrepreneurs of MSME is proposed to be introduced. Ease of doing business. An app-based invoicing financing loan product will be launched. This will obviate the problem of delayed payments and consequential cash flows mismatches for the MSMEs. Encouraging the entrepreneurship and job creations are key to this and are effective measures to eradicate forced labor, slavery, and human trafficking. Incentives for the startups, technology-based businesses. Knowledge translation clusters are proposed to be set up across different technology sectors, including new and emerging areas. Seed funding support. The government has proposed to provide early life funding, including a new seed fund to support ideation and development of early stage startups. Government initiatives. The focus of Make in India program, Skill India, mission aims to train over 40 crore people in different skills by 2030, including various initiatives by the government like National Skill Development Program, National Policy for Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, and Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Rojgar Protsahan Yojana, under new EPF plan, the government will bear entire 12% of employees' provident fund share for all new individuals. With all these targets, the goal is to succeed in achieving the full and productive employment for all women and men by 2030.
Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment to introduce the bill.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move for leave to introduce the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020.
The question is that leave be granted to introduce the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020. Those who are in favor will say aye.
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 Those who are against it say no.
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 I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Leave is granted, the bill is passed.
Ma'am, I introduce the bill.
Now the House will take up consideration of the Climate Change Bill. Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I lay on the table a copy of the Climate Change Bill to be taken into consideration. Honorable Speaker, Ma'am, I would like to introduce the bill that constitutes setting a target for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions to establish a national committee on climate change to provide for carbon budgeting and to reduce gas emissions, encourage such activities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and for matters to protect the value and culture of the society connected therewith or incidentally thereto. Under this act, we bring to practice limiting activities that consist of emissions of greenhouse gas or that or cause or contribute directly or indirectly to such emissions, encouraging activities that consist of or that cause or contribute directly or indirectly to reduction in green gas emissions or removal of greenhouse gas from atmosphere. The Carbon Trading Authority shall, within 1 year from its date of establishment, formulate a scheme to be known as Carbon Trading Scheme. While formulating the Carbon Trading Scheme, the Carbon Trading Authority may take into account the following matters: the application of schemes on various sectors or institutions, the activities to which the scheme shall apply, the manner in which carbon credit shall be distributed to the participants, the rules governing the buying and selling of carbon credits, issue of carbon certificates to companies and other participants, while taking a decision on setting the target for carbon budget. Under Section 4, the central government shall take the following into account: scientific knowledge and technology relevant to climate change, impact of decision on the economy and competitiveness of various sectors of the economy, likely impact of the decision on energy supply and carbon and energy intensity of economy, climate change issue at regional and international level, such other matters as the central government may deem necessary. Miss Speaker, ma'am, I am confident that every honorable member of this House, irrespective of party affiliation, will welcome this bill wholeheartedly and through it help to eradicate these reckless practices once for all. With these words, I move the climate change bill to be taken into consideration.
Motion moved. Miss Preeti Omega Samuel, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I rise to support this bill. We all know the ill effects of global warming. It has led to a number of natural and man-made catastrophes. Madam, today greenhouse gas emissions by India are the third largest in the world and the main source here is coal. India emits about 3 gigatons of greenhouse gases each year, about 2.5 tons per person, which is half of the world's average. Our civilization is being sacrificed for the opportunity of very few people who continue to make enormous amounts of money. Coming back to the bill, the application of the carbon trading scheme on various sectors or institutions is an effective way to address the intensity and diversity of every industry and resolve it. As quoted, what will save us is not technology nor science. What will save us is the ethical transformation of a society, and I believe this bill is a step towards the ethical transformation of our society. With these words, I strongly support this bill.
Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, please.
India's rapid economic growth and its effort for holistic development need should not be in conflict with the ecological sustainable development. India is the fifth largest emitter of greenhouse gases greenhouse gases. India is the fifth largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world, quantity wise. But if you take the per capita emissions of India, it is substantially below. Hence, it is important for India to take a proactive step in order to mitigate the emissions and to improve energy efficiency. India is responsible for 6.9% of global emissions. However, the emission intensity of India's GDP reduced by 12% between 2005 and 2010. In October 2015, India made a commitment to reduce the emission intensity of its GDP by 20 to 25% from its 2005 level by 2020 and by 33 to 35% by 2030. And we are sure we will achieve this as we have been trying to control our carbon emissions, and with this new bill, we will even more reduce the effect on the environment by India. The climate change bill of 2020 is going to be more environmentally concerning bill and has been made keeping in mind the SDG 13 goal in mind. The goal 13 on climate change aims to integrate climate change measures into national policies and strategies, and further aims to plan and promote mechanisms for raising capacity for effective climate change related planning and management. India has a great geographic diversity and a variety of climate regimes, regional and local weather conditions, which are vulnerable to climate change. And if we don't control the weather, our emissions, we may face tsunamis, droughts, floods, and earthquakes. So the ordinance in the new bill will help us reduce our carbon footprint as a country and achieve SDG 13 we have planned to achieve by 2020.
Ms. Richu Roy, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I set my vehement opposition to the conclusion of this bill. Madam, government must take efficient and immediate steps to make sure that the industries are following the prescribed rules and regulations regarding the emission of waste, which is still in progress. Can the government mention how many companies and government-owned industries follow these regulations? It's your officials giving sanction to these industries, taking out bribe and setting them free without no control. You as a government must keep on mind of the environmental factors before giving the permission to the companies. Rather, it should not be taken concern in the last or end stage. Now when it comes to an initiative, before pandemic, pollution was at higher rate and states government were implemented different initiatives. One of them was Delhi government odd and even initiative to curb pollution. But later, after the experiment, there was no reduction in pollution in the air. Scheme was ended as 100% failure because government failed to evaluate the efficiency of such a plan in the future.
Honorable Minister of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries, please.
India has been identified as a key player at the international climate change negotiations. Hence, taking higher caps on emissions domestically, though without any legally binding international agreement, would set India as an example for other countries, thereby inducing the other countries to take similar steps for a better global environment. Further, although there are multiple laws for mitigating emissions from various sectors, there is no comprehensive law which clearly defines the emission reduction targets, provides steps to be taken for reducing the emissions, and set a clear-cut timeline. Even the National Action Plan on Climate Change does not suffice. Therefore, there is a need for establishment of a proper institutional framework for implementation and monitoring of various existing missions and to take up new challenges. Livestock extension surveys are almost absent. The extension format, methodology, and setup established for agriculture has failed to cater to the needs of the livestock sector. The only centrally sponsored scheme on livestock extension and delivery service with a budgetary outlay of rupees 15 crore remain non-operational. Fisheries suffer from insufficient institutional support, also legal and political recognition. Weak extension network, decline in fish catch, and depletion of natural resources due to over exploitation of coastal fisheries. The main aim of SDG 14 is to conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. And SDG 15 aims at protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Human life depends on Earth as much as the ocean for our sustenance and livelihoods. Forests cover 30% of the Earth's surface, provide vital habitat for millions of species, and important sources for clean air and water, as well as being crucial for combating climate change.
Mr. Pradeep Dikshit, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, India is already on the right path of fighting climate change. Paris Agreement is one of those prime examples. There seems to be no reason for bringing a new bill over an existing bill as it will affect the country economically and even in every other possible way. Ma'am, looking at the current economic condition of India, adding a new bill on industries would be catastrophic for them as they are already on the recovery stage. Currently, the focus should be to help them and not to bring barriers on the development.
Honorable Minister of Law and Justice, please.
Climate change is not the concern of just the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, but of each and every ministry. It is the duty of the government to integrate and coordinate the efforts of the various ministries and properly channelize them to attain the ultimate target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and to contribute India's part in fighting global warming and other climate change phenomena. This bill has been proposed to address the above mentioned issues. United Nations SDG 16 is all about promoting peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, providing access to justice for all, and building effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. The climate change bill is responding to the most pressing issue we face as a species. Climate momentum is exploding. All over the world, people are marching in the streets. They are led by young people who have the most to lose, and they're demanding that concrete action be taken. And yet, there are millions more who are engaged or who feel they don't have a voice. And here, if we have strong institutions ensuring peace and justice to the Mother Earth, that too with a proper framework of a bill like that of our bill under consideration, it very well serves the purpose. The Indian Constitution is one of the few in the world that contains specific provisions on the environment. The directive principles of the state policy and the fundamental duties chapters explicitly enunciate the national commitment to protect and improve the environment. The Court of Justice has also played a pivotal role in interpreting environmental and climate change bills and has successfully isolated specific environmental law principles upon the interpretation of Indian statutes and the Constitution, combined with a stern view towards ensuring social justice and the protection of human rights in line with SDG 16. So, when one analyzes the Indian environmental laws development path, one will surely have to keep in mind the concept of judicial lawmaking.
Ms. Anjana Abraham, please.
Ma'am, I agree to the point given by the Honorable Minister of Law and Justice regarding SDG Goal 16, because even I feel SDG 16 recognized the justice is not just an investment in state institutions and respect for human rights, but it is an organization and engagement of people themselves to ensure the access to justice as part of the promotion of the rules of law at national and international level. Some key points that I like to emphasize are ensuring public access to the information, ensuring responsive, inclusive, participatory, and representative decision making at all the levels, developing effective, accountable, and transparent institutions, and ensuring legal identity for all. Therefore, I feel through this bill, we will be able to promote peace and we will also able to promote, give voice to all those who were not able to speak up.
Honorable Minister of Law and Justice, please.
I hope we have answered most of the points raised by the members in the course of the speeches recently made. I once again thank you for your support and seek your cooperation in implementing this measure. I request the House to pass the bill.
Srimati Steny Johnson, Leader of the Opposition, please.
Honorable Speaker, I, as a leader of the opposition, strongly support this bill as addressing climate change is a need of the hour. And I'm very happy that Mr. Prime Minister is keen on bringing such issues into the limelight. There are multiple laws for mitigating emissions from various sectors, but there was no single law that was comprehensive and that clearly defines the emission reduction target or provides steps that are to be taken for reduction the emission and that sets a clear timeline. There is a need for the establishment of a proper institutional framework for the implementation and monitoring a large number of existing emissions to take up the new challenges. And just as the Minister of Law and Justice claimed, climate change is not just the concern of the Minister of Environment and Forest, but of each and every ministry. The importance of this bill lies in its concrete and comprehensive proposals, which we would take and set India as the example for other countries.
The motion has been moved to Honorable Prime Minister.
Honorable Speaker and members of the House, at this very outset, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to each and everyone who stood in support of this bill. India has been victim to some drastic climate changes, where droughts are intensifying, oceans acidifying, erratic monsoon season, all at an unprecedented rate. None of this is rhetoric. None of this is hysteria. It's fact. Now think of the shame that each one of us will carry when our children and grandchildren look back and realize that we had the means and power of stopping this devastation, but simply lacked the political will to do so. And to the honorable member of the opposition, Srimati Richu Roy, who commented that the Delhi's odd-even scheme being a failure. Madam, I just want to tell you that on the surface, it might look like one step forward, two steps back. But let me assure you, one step forward, two steps back is still one step forward. Now is a time of taking bold actions. It's time to declare, and no more talk, no more excuses, and no more investments in tens of years of studies and research and development. Madam Speaker and members of this House, now is the time of coming together with a unified mind to pass this bill. A bill with the absence of which there will be serious ramifications for the generations to come. I hope I was able to answer the points raised by the honorable ministers. I once again thank you all for your cooperation and the support that you have shown towards this bill. I seek your cooperation in the coming time. With that, Honorable Speaker, I raise my support for this bill.
The question is that the climate change bill will be taken into consideration. Those who are in favor say aye.
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 Those who are against it say no.
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 I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted with clause by clause consideration. Now the question is that clause 210 stands part of the bill. There is an amendment in clause 5 by Ms. Preeti Omega Samuel. Are you moving it?
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, in the view of the reply given by the ministers, I am not pressing my amendment any further.
Now the question is that clause 210 stands part of the bill. Those who are in favor may say aye.
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 Those who are against it may say no.
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 I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is now adopted. Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, please.
Ma'am, I move the bill to be passed.
Motion moved that the bill is passed. Those who are in favor, please say aye.
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 Those who are against it say no.
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 I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is moved, the bill is passed. The House is adjourned for today. We will meet tomorrow by 11 a.m. Thank you all.
Yes, Sanoj. National anthem.
द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जाहे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Okay. Yes, now the group. Sanoj, that group photo Jason is doing. Jason, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm here.
You are taken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, special congratulations to all the members of the Youth Parliament. I had it's a very wonderful experience listening to you. Now, closing my eyes, I was just thinking that I was in the Indian Parliament. The kind of energy the vigor with which you, presented your, arguments was amazing. And also congratulate Baba sir for the efficient coordination and for the leadership guidance. And it was fabulous listening to you. Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you, Parliament members, MPs. That is very important thing. All are now converted into MPs. So everybody can switch on their video camera. I think some of the students still there. Sudhakar, Jojo, Raksha. Okay, students, very nice. You have done very good job, and it looks like an equal to the SDG Parliament. Definitely, we will move forward this to the next step. I expect all the Parliament members, that is the Youth Parliament members, will definitely form part of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Youth Parliament by April 2021. That is my wishes. Thank you, dear students. You can show your hand so that Jason, you can take. Baby, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Jason, okay? Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Deepti.
sir.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nicely dressed also, Andrews.
Okay, yeah, even the
Sanoji.
backdrop, the virtual background that you created, like the buzzing, the whole decorum was